1974, the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, or ERISA, was first signed into law. This landmark piece of legislation was the first to establish national U.S. standards for private sector pension plans and the fiduciary committees that oversee them. ERISA has evolved a lot since the 1970s, but it's still actively enforced by the IRS and Department of Labor to this day. In order to understand why ERISA is so important, let's take a look at what life was like for workers in the pre-ERISA days. The first private pension plan in the U.S. wasn't even established until 1875, and it was very different from the 401ks of today. Back then, workers would put in decades of labor in hopes of cashing out on their company's pension promises. Unfortunately, things didn't always work out as planned. The Studebaker pension plan default has gone down as one of the most infamous failures in business history. In 1963, Studebaker closed down its Indiana auto plant and terminated its employee pension plan. As a result, thousands of workers were unable to collect all of their pension, if any at all. Even more shocking was the fact that there were no employee protection laws in place to hold the company accountable. Americans were fed up with living in fear of their companies going bankrupt or proving unable to pay out their promised pensions. Fortunately, the collective outcry of American laborers would ultimately lead to the passing of ERISA and other pension protection laws. But don't be confused by the word pension. While many people associate it with the pension plans of old, it also covers defined contribution plans such as 401ks. It's interesting to note that ERISA actually predates these newer plans, which didn't arrive on the scene until the early 1980s. 401k was initially the title of an obscure subsection of the Revenue Act of 1978. The subsection outlined certain tax benefits that employees could enjoy on deferred income, such as stock options. When an attorney named Ted Bana read over the little-known loophole, he immediately saw its enormous potential. Bana went on to successfully petition the IRS to allow employees to create tax-deferred retirement accounts, which evolved into the 401k plans of today. While ERISA's rules and regulatory requirements are still evolving, their fundamental focus is on three things. The first is a set of standards that retirement plans must legally live up to. The second deals with the rights of participants to remain informed about key information in their plans. Last but not least, certain standards of conduct are outlined for plan fiduciaries. While it's important to familiarize yourself with ERISA regulations, you should also realize that the IRS and DOL both issue new guidance on a frequent basis. Fiduciary committees are expected to comply with any new rules, which, unfortunately, aren't always so easy to interpret. This is where your legal counsel and record keeper come in. By retaining these professionals and checking in with them regularly, your committee will be able to stay up to date on all relevant updates.